Hi, this is Mitchell Levy, thought leader architect at Alpha, and it is amazing of the quality of people we're meeting, and here is no exception. Rogelio Duran, who is incoming chapter president of the Chicago chapter, and a analyst, a portfolio manager analyst. You could do a better job than I can over at BNY Mellon. It is great to have you on here.
Mitchell. Great to meet you.
And I loved listening to your story in terms of how you got introduced to Alpha, and subsequently what Alpha has done in terms of bringing you to the company and where you are today. Why don't you talk about that?
Of course. Alpha's been really good to me, and I would say in many ways. So I first got introduced to Alpha, really, it was through a contact, networking. I'm part of this really cool organization that not only do I find good friends, but fantastic professional contacts. So he really said I should go to an event, which I did. So that sort of began my Alpha story that way. But right off the bat, that great friend that introduced me to Alpha was also working for BNY Mellon. He's now my employer and has been my employer for coming up to about 8 years now.
That's amazing. Right? That's great.
I think that nowadays it's tough to stay with companies for a few years. So I think that 8 years it's starting to.
Oh, by the way, I got your title wrong. Do it again. So
it sounds very good the way you said it. Actually, okay. I might not want to change it.
All right, well, we'll keep it as it is. Okay.
But no, I work with high net worth families and individuals managing their wealth and their portfolios.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
No, of course. So through really that Alpha contact, he afforded me an interview within BNY Mellon. And to be honest, when I graduated college was May of 2008. It wasn't that long ago, but 2008 was just a very tough time in corporate America in terms of hiring, right? So having that connection, not only from an Alpha perspective, right, but also from a professional perspective, it was two birds with one stone. Not only did he introduce me to BNY Mellon, he introduced me to Alpha. So I owe a lot to him, but also to the organization for all the things that they've done. And that's just the beginning.
And then you've moved cities.
Correct.
Also with the same firm, so
that's
they
right.
helped you move along. And
that's right.
And how did you get recruited now to be part of the organization, now being the incoming president? You must see value and want to give value back.
Most definitely. So starting off in Boston, which is where I was originally from, had great involvement with the chapter, but really at a committee level, as a member, really took advantage and benefited from their programs and just networking and things like that. But in 2011, I was actually married. My wife and I got married in 2011.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And she's the smartest woman I know. So we moved to Chicago. She started Northwestern Medical School. So we relocated to Chicago. In Chicago, there's a fantastic chapter, actually third largest Alpha professional chapter in the country. Fantastic team, great board, fantastic programming, great content, great networking. One of the things I did, asked the Boston chapter contact to see if you can connect me with Chicago chapter contact, which he did. Immediately created a great relationship with the board. They took, that's part of the Alpha Familia. So it was just an incredibly smooth transition to Chicago. But I must say that I spent a little bit of time, adjusting to Chicago. But as soon as I really got involved with Alpha, it felt like I was home again.
Nice.
It was just a matter of reaching out, and they were there. It was a different city, but I just reached out, and they took me in open arms. It was a fantastic feeling.
I really like that. So just say it again, but in a different way. If you're somebody who's thinking about participating in Alpha, and you can see what it's done for your life, what would you say for somebody who's sort of on the border of going to their first meeting or participating in a bigger level? What would you say to them?
Of course. So from my own personal experience, I would say it's tough moving to a new city and having to be out of your comfort zone, and thinking, well, the last thing I'm going to do is be in a room with strangers, but they're not necessarily strangers. They're individuals that are very similar to you with similar aspirations and ambitions and experiences. That is exactly what I found in Chicago. So for someone that's really looking to start to think about Alpha and what it's really about, don't think of them as strangers, as people that you don't know. Think of them as your potential future family in the sense from a professional standpoint.
Well, I've heard good things about you. Appreciate what you're doing, for the organization, and of course, your BNY Mellon for being a supportive sponsor of you and of the organization. It's
Appreciate
great.
it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
talking with me. Oh, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We look forward to seeing you during the next episode. But as you can tell, some amazing people